Hi, it's Joe Mazumdar of Exploration Insights. I'm at the September edition of the Metals Investment Forum in Vancouver, Canada. And with me right now is Scott Williamson, Managing Director of Blackstone Minerals. Scott, how's it going? Exploration Insights has had Blackstone Minerals for a few years. And before we were, as well as the industry, was more interested in nickel than people are now. And you had this project and portfolio in Vietnam. That's changed. So can you explain a little bit of the pivot?
Yeah, I think you might have been the first person to call nickel is dead a few years ago. I was quite disappointed, but anyway. So unfortunately, nickel has been difficult for us. We've pivoted into the copper-gold porphyry in the Philippines, and recently just announced that we have a joint venture partner that's going to free carry us in the nickel. So they'll build, own, and operate.
And this is a local Vietnamese group.
Yeah, the local conglomerate there. So they've done a little bit of mining. This will be one of their bigger projects. They're looking to spend a few $100 million, which is great, which means that we can focus all our funding on the copper-gold porphyry.
And just talking about funding, you recently raised a quantum of capital.
Yeah, we raised $22 million. That was cornerstoned by Macquarie Bank. So Macquarie, major institutional investor, they brought in $5 million. And so, yeah, it's well funded now. And that funding will now go to the copper-gold porphyry. And we recently completed a merger of equals with an unlisted company called IDM International.
And so let's go into about the asset that you've earned into Mankayan, which I visited earlier this year. What's the potential there?
Yeah, so what we like about this area is it actually has a long history of mining already. So the next door neighbours have been mining for 100 years. It has attracted a lot of majors also. Previously, Robert Friedland, Rio Tinto, Goldfields were partners in that next door asset. This asset in particular has only been junior miners, and so there's been 5 different juniors, and each junior's run out of money and missed the cycle. And we think they've left a lot behind. They haven't done the systematic exploration techniques you would expect from a modern day exploration discovery phase, and now we want to rediscover it and layer up some of the data sets, typically geophysics and soils, and all of that work just hasn't been done. So even though it's underpinned by a really strong resource, it's more of an exploration phase opportunity.
So the neighbor is Lepanto in far southeast, which was worked by Goldfields, and they spent several $100 million trying to develop the project. Yours, Mankayan, has, I guess, a compliant JORC?
No, it's a JORC compliant, 2012, 80% indicated resource. The reason we don't focus too much on the resource because we think it could be undercalling it. But yeah, there's already 900 million tonnes at 0.65% copper equivalent. So around 0.38 on the gold and 0.35 on the copper. So it is a big, large resource already, but it's got a high grade core running about 1% copper equivalent.
And you've raised your money, and right now you're permitted to drill, and we should see drills turning soon.
Very soon. It's taken us a little bit longer than we'd hoped. So we've got 2 drill rigs ready. We've got 1 owner rig and 1 contractor rig. What worked well in Vietnam is we got our costs down to $50 a metre. That was much shallower drilling. These drill rigs can do 1.8 kilometre holes, so we're expecting the cost to be a little bit higher than that. But if we could get to, say, $100 a metre, that would be a great result because our money can go so much further by owning our own rigs. So, yeah, drilling very soon on 2 rigs. Both rigs can do 1.8 kilometre holes.
What are you targeting right now in the early holes?
Yeah, a lot of it will be extending the known ore body at depth and extending the high-grade resource and the high-grade core and better understanding the high-grade. So these holes will be angled through the high-grade and then extending the high-grade at depth. We think with angled holes, it could actually increase the grade because we do have a vertical veining, and the historic holes are all vertical and potentially have misrepresented the vertical veining. So with some angled drill holes, we think we could actually increase the grade, but we also want to extend at depth. So the deepest hole to date is 1.5 kilometres. and we're extending at least 300 up to 500 meters deeper.
Wow. And so Mankayan drilling deeper and I guess trying to see where that high-grade core actually goes, but also, like you were saying, on the land package itself, you're finding some other prospects that might be more epithermal.
Yeah, so what we're seeing is 700 meters up to a kilometer to the north, we're seeing high-grade gold and copper in veins. And so there is a chance that we might have epithermal veining similar to next door. Next door, they've mined high-grade epithermal high sulfidation veining. They've also mined gold-only veins. So there's two types of different epithermals. There's the gold-only and then the copper-gold. And so we're excited to potentially explore and understand more about the epithermal veining to the north.
And so for viewers that might not understand what's happening in the Philippines, can you just give us an update on why the Philippines is looking more promising?
Yeah, so recently a new president, so 3 years ago actually, came into power, pro-mining, Marcos. He's got another 3 years to go. Unfortunately, historically, like Duterte was almost anti-mining. So unfortunately, that sort of had the Philippines sort of, I suppose, had a negative sentiment around the Philippines with the previous president. Current president is much more in favour of mining. So we think we've got a really good run with the current president, and he's incentivising mining and doing all the right things. So what we're seeing is the mid caps, the B2 Gold and Oceana Gold are investing heavily in the region, and that's a good sign that we're going into a much better regime.
Yeah, and for copper gold style porphyries, the Philippines on average tend to have the higher grade.
Yeah, particularly high gold grades in our gold and porphyry system, much higher than, well, as high as some of the highest gold grades you'll see in South America. So on a global scale, yeah, very high gold grades, typically gold to copper ratios as high as 2 to 1. So that's very strong gold, up to 1 gram per ton gold in a lot of our intercepts.
So news flow coming up, the Vietnamese assets basically divested, and importantly, that divestiture frees up capital because you were spending, I don't know how much money on that in terms of a burn rate.
Yeah, so that was sitting at around $100,000 a month. And that's now almost down to zero. We've actually built a consulting business that will consult to the JV. The Vietnam team can potentially go cash flow positive, which would be exciting. So now all of our funding can go into the porphyry in the Philippines.
All right. And do you see, like, I know B2 Gold is there operating, you've got Oceana operating. Have you seen more companies and projects getting permitted?
Yeah, so there's been a real push from the Marcos government to streamline permitting, clean up the I suppose illegal or artisanal mining. So there's a real pro-mining push. So a lot of permitting, investment directly into the mining projects. So one of our peers in Australia has investment from the Sovereign Wealth Fund of the Philippines. So there's a real pro-mining sentiment with respect to permitting and investment.
All right. Well, Scott, so going forward, you're fully funded, and we should expect drills turning soon and results in the next 6 to 8 weeks?
Well, no, I think we can turn assays around a lot quicker. There's a full suite of different assay labs, so all the major players in Manila. So we could probably turn assays around within 4 weeks. And so hopefully, towards the end of October, we're getting our first results.
All right. Scott Williamson, Managing Director of Blackstone. Thank you very much. That's me. That's it for me. Joe Mazumdar, Exploration Insights from the September edition of the Metals Investment Forum in Vancouver, Canada. Thank you for watching.